think that large companies often have a notion of what's called the institutional no. And I think in many large company cultures, in order to decide to do something new or different, you essentially have to ask your management chain for permission. And so in the larger the company, typically the taller the stack of people that you need approval from to do something new. And the idea of the institutional no is that in those large company structures, when you have an idea and you go to your boss, if your boss says yes, you get permission to take it to their boss, and then that keeps going till a decision maker is reached, which might be at some companies very high up in that chain, depending on how big the idea is or how expensive it is. And that's the notion of the institutional no, in that if any of those people that you go to for approval says no, you're essentially done. Because the lowest person in that chain that says no essentially stops that idea from happening. I like to think about that actually in terms of a serial versus parallel no. If you had a big idea and you go to a venture capitalist and you ask for money to do something new, if that venture capitalist says no, you can simply go to the next venture capitalist. And if that venture capitalist says yes, it doesn't matter that the previous venture capitalist says no. And so those are parallel independent yeses. Whereas at a large company, in many cases, you end up with this serial no where you need a yes from every single person in the chain. And I think one of the things at Amazon we try very hard to ensure happens is at every level of that management chain, asking yourself, how many people have already said yes to this idea before it reached me? And so for example, in my organization, I may have had 3 or 4 people already say yes to an idea by the time it reaches me. And then I really ask myself, do I want to say no to this idea given 3 or 4 people who actually are closer to the details and know more about it than I do already said yes? And I think that mindset is really embedded in our culture.